Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the MerriCast. I'd like to start things off by apologizing for the delay. This is supposed to be a weekly podcast, but I definitely missed last week's. I have been having a lot of trouble sleeping as of late, dealing with some insomnia, unfortunately, but I've been trying to fix that. I've been taking some melatonin, and it's been helping a little bit. But because of that, I didn't really have a whole lot of time to get YouTube stuff done because I stream full time in the evenings, Tuesday through Saturday. So Sunday and Monday were kind of all messed up too, and it was a big mess. And I'm really sorry that we missed the last week, but here we are again with the MerriCast, hoping to get back on schedule. So let's just dive right into things. To start, let's talk a little bit about some YouTube stuff I got coming up. I have a few shorts that I've been working on for a hot minute. Some of them are closer to being done than others. Bottom line, stuff is in the works, so stuff is coming, guys. Stuff is coming, I promise. However, with me doing the streaming full time now, and then the sleeping issues, I barely, I had trouble finding time to do the MerriCast and Fan Friday, let alone, work on the shorts, which take a ton of effort and a lot of scheduling. That's been another huge nightmare issue, is finding the time to schedule to film, because a lot of these, I need other people, and I don't have, a bunch of accounts with level 60 characters that I can just use to film scenes, as amazing as that would be. So I have to rely on other people, and so scheduling and filming and all that stuff, it's really difficult. But things are still, gears are still turning, things are still going, so don't worry, I'm not stopping anytime soon. To those that support the Patreon, I'm sorry we missed Fan Friday last week, but I was torn, should I release it now or later, or should I just wait until this Friday? So I'm going to wait until this Friday, just so I can give people a little bit more time to ask any questions they have, and then I'm going to record that probably tomorrow or Thursday, and it will be out on Friday. But all of this YouTube business aside, let's talk a little bit about patch 3.2. Oh boy, so we got the trailer recently, and I'm excited. I'm really, really fucking excited. 14 had been in a bit of a slump, things weren't necessarily looking up. Patch 3.1 was kind of a flop. 3.0, while amazing, inevitably wound up, flopping flat because of Alexander being really just not good. It just wasn't good. And then they had content like Verminion, which nobody fucking cares about. And then the Diadem, which was a huge bust. The one solid bit of content that I feel we've gotten is Void Arc. And even then, you can only do so much Void Arc. It was great, looked great, music's good, design is cool, fights aren't super hard, they're fun, but you run it once a week, maybe twice, get your item, and you're done. So there's really nothing really substantial there to keep up with. The Relic weapon chain was a huge flop. Everyone was super disappointed with that. And things just kind of weren't looking too great. People weren't super happy. I know I wasn't happy as a 5-6 year veteran of Final Fantasy XIV. I wasn't super happy, but I'm hesitantly optimistic about patch 3.2. It's looking interesting. It looks like they're finally bringing some solid content. Hopefully that's the truth. They say the new Alexander's more in tune with old Coil, and if that's true, it may revitalize raiding. That's a really important thing. I think that was one of the biggest issues with Heaven's Ward, was that the premier endgame content just wasn't good. Nobody was doing it. Alexander Savage turns 3 and 4 were just horribly unbalanced. People hated them. 3 specifically, that was the static killer, was A3S. That's what killed raiding for me. That was a major issue, right? Because a lot of people, they like endgame, but there just wasn't any endgame for most people, because you had to be, let's be completely honest, you kind of had to, grind your face into the fucking gravel working through A3S. I don't know a single group that had fun with that turn. Even my old, server first group were like, that was a fucking nightmare. I hate this place. It just, it wasn't fun. Nobody really liked it. The mechanics were really fucking gimmicky and shitty and RNG bullshit. It just wasn't really that great of a turn, as evident by everyone kind of just quitting raiding, unless you were really dedicated. But that being said, they killed raiding. But the sad thing is they compounded that fact with the delay of the next raid tier by 3 months. All throughout A Realm Reborn, the raid tiers lasted about 6 months. About 6. You had three on, and then the next in between patch would drop with the new CT raid, and you'd have 3 more, and then you'd have the next raid tier. But we didn't have that now. We had 6 months of the first patch, and then we had 3 more of 3.1, which added up to about a 9-month raid tier, and that's the longest we've ever had. And that wouldn't even be good if we had coil level difficulty content that a lot of people could do. Instead, we have this Alexander raid that only a small fraction of people were able to beat. Tons of people quit raiding because of it, and it lasted for so long, and that all just piled up into this massive shitstorm that just wasn't good for the game. It was really bad. Really bad. And then they did things, like the Diadem and Verminion, which were colossal flops that, a very, very small amount of people enjoy. And I'm certainly not trying to take away from that. If you guys enjoy that stuff, that's absolutely okay. It's totally cool. But the overwhelming majority is kind of like, well, fuck this stuff. But the new dungeons look really cool. Those only go so far, of course. We're going to do them the first few times, and we're going to be like, oh, this is so cool. And then we're going to be like, oh, it's just this shit all over again. But that's just kind of natural with the dungeons. That always happens. That's not something new. But the new PvP looks cool. As a PvPer, I'm interested in it. I'm a little disappointed in their decision to yet again make morale completely pointless. What's the point of PvP gear? Is it just glamour gear? May as well just get rid of all the stats on it and have it be literally nothing but glamour, because there's not really any other use for it. Well, that's not necessarily true. It has its uses in front lines, and even in probably in the Feast it will have its uses, because a lot of the PvP gear is pure damage stats like crit and det and skill speed. There's very little accuracy. There's no parry on the tank stuff, for example. It is stats geared for PvP, and so as long as the item level is breaching the cap for the content, it is essentially some of the best gear you can have for PvP. However, some items from PvE are itemized with crit and det, or whatever, may have a better itemization than a PvP piece of gear, but for the most part it is somewhat useful. However, the morale stat is completely... I thought the Feast would be a chance for them to bring back morale and have it be useful, since they don't use it in front lines, but they decided against it. They're like, nah, we're not going to have morale be a thing, which is really... I don't know. What's the point in the stat then? Just get rid of it, Who cares? The only place you can use morale is the original Wolves Den, which nobody does. There's I think there's a subreddit, weekly thread where they try to do some Wolves Den or something like that once a week. But outside of that, it just, nobody does it. Nobody does Wolves Den. I have 300 matches under my belt from when Wolves Den first came out. Have not touched it in about 2 years or whatever. It's dead. It's dead. It's long dead. It's the only place you can use morale. What's the point in putting morale on this new gear if we're not going to be able to use it in the new PvP content, right? No point. But that's a minor gripe. Whatever. If they don't want to have morale, that's fine. It's just going to balance the playing field, even more. Whatever. I don't care. I just want good PvP. However, that's probably also going to be something that is far on the horizon, as I doubt we're going to get huge PvP balances in 3.2, which we desperately need. Otherwise, the meta is going to be a very simple, warrior, because warriors are super OP. I can fucking two-shot people with double fell cleave crits. Warrior, Astro, Summoner, and probably Ninja. Maybe Machinist. Machinist is actually pretty powerful in PvP. But I feel no Machinist, because that's a ranged, and that would take the place of a Summoner, which Summoner's not going to happen. So yeah, it has to be tank, healer, ranged, melee. So the meta will more than likely be Warrior, Astro, Summoner, and Ninja. I say Ninja because Sneak Attack is really versatile for 4v4 PvP, but I imagine a Monk or Dragoon will be essentially just as good, but I feel like the real meta is going to be Warrior, Astro, Summoner, and Ninja. But I mean, the sad truth is, like, Paladin, while good, it just doesn't really have a place in 4v4. I feel when you can bring a Warrior that's a tank and a DPS at the same time. However, I think a Warrior and Paladin combo will rock really well in the 8v8, but that's a whole nother beast. Dark Knight is completely useless as always. Really sad. I was hoping Dark Knight would be good in PvP, but it's just all of its PvP abilities fucking blow dick. They're really bad. And the job itself doesn't really lend itself to PvP. The whole MP management and all that shit, it can be really difficult to keep your MP up on players when they're moving around. So I tried it for a little bit and I was like, this is awful. This is awful. Because it's not super tanky like a Paladin and it doesn't do amazing DPS like a Warrior. It's just kind of like this really shitty in between. Because Paladin and PvP, their DPS isn't as good as a Warrior, but they have amazing PvP abilities. Paladin is really fun to play in PvP because you really do feel like a tank. Like you top your Testudo or whatever, Testuo, whatever the fuck it's called, some Roman shit. You pop that on somebody, bam, 50% damage reduction or whatever it is at max skill. But it's really good. They have a lot of awesome abilities. Glory Slash, the knockback, all that good shit. Their Paladin is in a good spot in PvP. And Warrior's in an amazing spot because it's fucking Warrior, and they're broken in all aspects of the game. And it's amazing that Square Enix has yet to recognize it, or at the very least acknowledge it and say, yeah, Warrior's a little strong, we're going to fix it at some point. But hey, I'm a Warrior, so I'm embracing it while I can, right? I know our day is coming where we're going to get the nerf hammer. At least I hope so, because even as a Warrior, I'm a player first and a Warrior second. And as a player, I can see that it's not really balanced. But, we'll see. We'll see how it happens, how it pans out in the end. But in the meantime, it just sounds like we're going to be getting even stronger with the introduction of Vitality having damaging stats. Now we're going to do a shit ton of damage and have like 50k HP. Awesome. Great. Now just make us even more strong, please. Please, Square Enix. I am really curious about the new Vitality adjustments. We don't know the specifics, so honestly, we don't really know if Vitality is going to be the best. They've said yes, Vitality is going to be the new thing you're going to want to go with. And that could just be Square Enix saying, hey, it does damage now and it gives HP, so of course you're going to want to use it. But from, a min-maxer point of view, it could theoretically still not be better than strength accessories. Even if, for example, let's say Vitality and Strength have the same potency, the same stat weight as each other, right? So Strength, we'll just say, has a flat 1.0, and Vitality has a 1.0 as well now in patch 3.2, with the added benefit of HP. That's great. However, that does not mean that the Vitality is always inherently going to be better, and that is because parry plagues tank gear. Always has, always will, until they get rid of that fucking garbage stat. It's always going to be a thing that is just on tank gear. And accessories specifically, you get that nasty parry accuracy fending accessory. It's like, well, you know what? This stat itemization is balls, and you could go with a strength that has dead crit, and guess what? That's going to be better. You're going to do more DPS with that if the stat weights are, equal across the board. And that's not going to fix the issue. People are still going to be like, well, you know what? I don't need this extra HP, so I'm just going to go with strength again. The only way they can fix it is if they significantly reduce strength compared to Vitality. So if they bump strength down to like a 0.5 versus Vitality being a 1.0 stat weight, for example. And even then, if we have a nasty parry accuracy Vitality accessory, a strength accessory with det crit may still very well outweigh it as far as stat weights and potency goes, simply because crit and det do still carry a lot of weight compared to primary stats. So we will have to see. We'll have to do lots of number crunching. I know you other min-maxers out there are probably just as excited as I am to play with all the new goodies. I love checking numbers and all that shit. Sometimes I'll just sit at the dummy and run numbers over and over and over again. But that's just the kind of player I am. I've always been a huge fan of min-maxing and optimization and all that shit. So looking forward to that. That'll be pretty cool. And here's hoping that Vitality is just the end-all be-all, because then I can do crazy DPS and have 50,000 HP, you know? That'll be really cool. What else do we got to talk about in 3.2? New gear looks cool. I like all the new glamour. Let's talk about Dyeable Allegan. Oh, I've been waiting so long for this, guys. I've been waiting literally years for this fucking moment. Ever since I got High Allegan, you know, when High Allegan was first relevant, when I was running Coil, when it was the raid tier and I got my High Allegan tanking set, have not glamored out of it once. It's always been my tank glamour. So to be able to finally dye it, it's like my dream come true. And not only that, they went the extra mile and they made the weapons dyeable too. And I'm so happy about that. I was like, because I had the normal Allegan weapons. Obviously, I have all the High Allegan weapons too. And I was like, well, I want to dye my High Allegan tank set like a nice rich blue color, but the High Allegan battle axe is red, so I'm not going to be able to dye it to match, right? You know, so I was like, okay, I'll just use the normal Allegan axe. That's blue, you know, it'll work. But as we saw in the video, the weapons are dyeable as well. And not only are they dyeable, the glow dyes too. If you'll notice, the warrior, he's using the axe, and the weapon is dyed, and instead of having a red glow, the light has like a pink glow. So it's really noticeable. Like if you actually own the axe and you compare the two, like it's not just a hue from the video or the lighting or anything. Like it is pink compared to the normal axe, which is red. It also looks like it's dyed kind of like a metallic red, so it could be that they dyed, you know, it like a light red or metallic red or whatever, and so it changed the glow to a pink. In the shot with the normal Allegan equipment, the scholar who has like the metallic red Allegan healing gear, they also have the Allegan healing book, and normally that has a blue glow, but they have it dyed metallic red, I think, as well. And the glow is actually red. So that alone goes to show that, yes, you know, not only is the weapon, like the metal, going to die, but the glow will die as well, which is really fucking awesome. I am so hype about that. So I'm really excited. I'm finally going to have gear that I will quite literally never change out of, probably. I mean, that was already the case with, you know, the Allegan gear. And it's like, now that I can dye it, I have even more of a reason to never change from it ever again. So I am super excited about that. We don't really know the specifics. Obviously, we don't know the recipes. We won't know that until the servers are down and the patch is being implemented. We also don't know how it's going to drop. We know, bottom line, that it will come from what's called a blueprint that will drop in both first coil and second coil. We don't know if it's going to be a single blueprint per piece of armor, per set. If it's a single blueprint for all of the gear from that set of coil. We don't know if it's going to drop one per turn or if it's all going to drop from the end turns like 5 and 9. We don't know the specifics, but they are you know, apparently going to be high level recipes. So probably level 60, probably specialist, all that fun stuff. But you know, I mean, we saw that coming. We're also going to have the Orchestrion, which is going to be the housing item that lets you play music. Music sheets will drop in dungeons, all that good stuff. So we'll have lots of that to collect. I'm sure it will also come from achievements and other fun stuff like that. So we'll be able to run around and collect all that shit. There's gonna be a lot of little things for us to work on in this patch, and that doubled up with the fact that the raid tier isn't gonna last 9 months. It's gonna be better and more engaging. Hopefully, we're gonna have possibly some new PvP that's actually going to retain people because it's going to have a ladder with rewards and awesome shit like that. Like, they're finally starting to put some things in motion that will hopefully keep the ball rolling, keeping the gears turning and people playing and all that good stuff. So I'm looking forward to this patch. I'm very optimistic right now. I always have been, though. I love this game. You know, it hurts to shit on it. So whenever I have to shit on it, I'm like, God, I don't want to be doing this. I love this game, but On the other hand, it's like I only do it because I do care about the game. I want to talk about the things I don't like and discuss it with other people and just kind of, get it out there, get it in the open. Not that Square Enix probably watches my shit, but you know what I'm saying. Just kind of get the discussion going so it bleeds out into the community at large. The last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap things up here are the live streams. I hope you guys have been enjoying the live streams. I sure have. They've been awesome. I'm really glad I decided to delve into Twitch. And while it has, recently kind of detracted from my ability to do YouTube stuff, mainly because of, my sleeping issues and my scheduling and all that crap has been really shitty past couple of weeks. But hopefully as, things move along, I'm going to fall into a better schedule and I'll be able to better allocate my time between the two. But as it stands, I'm generally streaming between like 4 and 8 hours a night. So that is pretty full time. If you haven't managed to catch one yet, highly recommend it. They're a lot of fun. Love having you guys come in and hang out. If you're on the Balmung server, I do always play with, my viewers. We do like pony farming and coil and all that good stuff. And I get to share stories and we just talk about awesome shit and have fun. So it's cool stuff. And it would not be as cool without all you awesome people tuning in. But that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry again for the delay. We're going to hopefully be back on schedule, so we'll have another MerriCast, next week as we usually do. Fan Friday, this Friday, for those that support the Patreon. I'm going to have a special treat for you since I missed last week's one. I'm going to share with you guys some neat stuff. Some neat behind-the-scenes stuff that no one else gets to know. Sorry, everyone else. But I think that about covers everything. So I hope you guys have a great day. Have a great week. And I will catch you in the next MerriCast. And please do look forward to the next episode of Merri's Shorts. It'll be out soon. TM. Take care.